I've been a user of Claude Code for a number of months now. And if you go back into my channel history, you'll see that I've been talking about Claude Code and Claude models for a very long time. But this month, I'm switching to Codex CLI. And this is not clickbait. As you can imagine, and as you're probably aware, things in the AI world change very frequently. And up until, I say, fairly recently, Claude Code and Claude models have been sort of the top dog for agentic programming tasks. If you're trying to write a program, you go for Claude, if you can afford it, that is. Recently, GPT-5 from OpenAI was released, and for some reason, it received very mixed reaction. People didn't seem to like it as much as, I suppose, OpenAI hoped they would. However, behind all of the sort of the over-reporting of the mediocre performance of GPT-5, OpenAI doubled down on its Codex CLI effort. Codex CLI being the competitor to Claude Code, which is a command line interface for using their respective AI models to help with your agentic coding tasks. And Claude Code has been the industry standard, and it still is. However, Codex CLI is catching up rapidly. And my experience using Codex CLI recently has been nothing short of mind-boggling. And to be clear, you'll see a lot of hype stuff on the internet with regards to the performance of Codex CLI, because despite the fact that people weren't terribly happy with GPT-5's launch performance, people seem to be on the other extreme of the spectrum of being overhyped about Codex CLI. Everybody's switching to Codex CLI. And for the longest time, I sort of just put it off. I thought this is just another piece of AI hype that's not worth paying attention to. Until recently, I spent $20 and I bought myself an OpenAI ChatGPT subscription. I wanted to try it out. Oh boy, I'm so glad that I did. So the too long didn't watch version of my discussion would be Codex CLI, the tool itself still has a long way to go compared to Claude CLI, Claude Code. However, the model itself is, at least in my use case, far more intelligent than even Claude Opus 4.1. One of the biggest differences is that I feel much more comfortable letting Codex CLI go through all the changes without me looking after each change. For instance, for probably 2/3 of the tasks that I do, I make sure to have a commit already behind me. And then after I get Codex CLI to explain to me its implementation goals, I just let it go. And then it would do it. And not only that, it would actually follow my instructions. For instance, if I say that at the end of it, run all the tests, run all the hooks, don't change the hooks, report any failures and attempt to fix them. If you can't fix them, return control to me. Codex actually does that, and it doesn't ever change my tests or try to bypass it or try to otherwise make the tests just not useful. However, Claude Code, on the other hand, it's quite interesting. After 2 or 3 attempts of trying to fix the problem, it would just give up and it would invent an excuse. Oh, this is not important. We're going to bypass it. And in the summary that Claude Code presents you, it downplays the bypassing or the changing the nullification of the tests and don't worry about it. What you wanted to do is done. Codex doesn't do that. Codex follows your instructions. So, and this might be a very small difference, but it is a huge, it creates a huge disparity between the user experience. For me, I don't really have to worry about Codex CLI. If I give Codex a task to do, I have about 80 to 90% confidence that it's going to complete that within my requirements. And it's not going to backtrack and invent an excuse to bypass the things, the hard guardrails that is set for it. Claude, on the other hand, I have zero confidence. I have very strict tests in my app. And a lot of them are, well, probably if you're a real developer, you would be very unhappy to see those tests. I understand that. But I'm working I'm a team of one. I want the code quality to be high, and I want the user experience to be great. And one of the best guardrails they can set when you're using agentic coding assistance is tests. Oh boy, even if with Claude instructions, even with sub-agents, even with hard guardrails, Claude still tries to bypass by inventing some excuses and say, "Oh no, I'm just going to disable it. It's not something that's important," despite the fact that I told it was important. And when you correct this, you are absolutely right. I shouldn't have bypassed it. You asked me not to. I'm sorry. Very frustrating. So yeah, and the last thing is I have the Claude Max 20 times plan for $200 a month, and I run into usage limits. Now, to be fair, a large part of to be unfair, a large part of the usage limits were actually Claude trying to fix the hook errors, and it would ping pong between the two solutions, two invalid solutions that it tries to implement, and ultimately giving up. And as you can imagine, it churns through a lot of tokens during that process. I have a $20 subscription to OpenAI, the ChatGPT version, and I'm still trying to figure out its limits. Granted, it's within the launch window. Maybe they're very relaxed about the limits and try to get people to be on board. They do also have a $200 per month high capacity subscription, but so far I haven't found myself needing it. Yeah, so in summary, not only is Claude Code 10 times more expensive, it doesn't do the things that I ask it to do as well as GPT-5. Medium reasoning effort, by the way. I haven't even tried the high reasoning effort. Claude Code also goes against my hard requirements and disables tests, suppresses code smells, and these are just the things that I haven't encountered with Codex CLI. Now, one thing I do have to say, one very interesting bug, I has to be a bug. There's no way it's not a bug that I ran into with Codex CLI, not with Claude, but with Codex. And now, to be fair, this is much more egregious. After it successfully finished implementing something, it decided to remove my entire project directory. And obviously, it used to remove -F -R-RF, right? And so I couldn't recover it. Now, thankfully, I was a good boy. I had my commit before that. I could recover my commit. That said, it still introduced a lot of headache for me. Number one, I needed to re-implement the secrets files because obviously you can't commit your secrets files. And number two, the entire project had to be rebuilt. It took some time. I don't know why it did that. The funny thing is, as soon as it did that, it realized that it did that, and it apologized to me and said, you should revert. But I don't know why it did that. Anyways, that's the only bug that I ran into with Codex CLI. The only undesirable behavior. Whereas Claude, it's just, I don't know what the hell happened with Claude. I mean, it used to be so good. I hate to be on the hype train or the complaint train because there has been a lot of posts on the Claude subreddit and whatnot complaining about Claude's deteriorating quality. A lot of times, it's just like developers who didn't want to spend that time and effort to configure Claude in a way that it's supposed to be configured. But oh boy, I consider myself having spent a lot of time perfecting my tooling within Claude, and I still ran into all of those quality issues. Yeah, so the time with Claude is coming to an end, at least for now. But as you can imagine, things in the AI world change very quickly. Who knows? Just a couple months ago, I was using Cursor. Obviously, Cursor is no more. Well, it's still there, but my understanding is that people are leaving it en masse. And Claude was the top dog for some time. I don't think it is anymore. GPT-5, it really is putting up a very good show. And for now, I am with OpenAI. We'll see what happens in the next couple months. That's it for this week. I'll see you later.